stay with me here when I now introduce my next guest to the stage, who will take us from Ireland to the United States. I'm introducing a technology director of an engineering firm with more than 85 years of service and 670 colleagues headquartered in Wisconsin. So welcome with me, Blaine Buenger from the Foth Industries. Welcome, Blaine.
All right, thanks, Richard. I'm glad to be here.
You know, you're involved in many digital delivery projects for regions and cities in the United States. 2 years ago, we met in London at YI, where you were an applicant, a finalist, with an implementation of a citywide mobile LiDAR scan of a town of 8,000 citizens. The starting point, actually, you can see that here, was the evaluation of street and sidewalk conditions, right, to meet the requirements for disabled citizens. But then, all of a sudden, the city realized what opportunity they have by having all of this data in one spot and seeing it in a digital twin. So, Blaine, you know, what other use cases did this trigger then, you know, once they saw this?
Yeah, no, so as you said, really the project started with, you know, pedestrian ramps and Americans with Disabilities Act, you know, making sure that slopes are within tolerance. And when we approached the client and explained our approach technology-wise, that we're planning on deploying mobile LiDAR to the solution, and they're like, oh my gosh, you can get survey-grade accuracy while driving at posted speed limits. It quickly turned into a citywide scan project. And their brain started thinking about different use cases that they could apply this to by having a citywide digital twin of their town. Really, you know, kind of the bread and butter of that is with the ADA ramps, but also with you know, traditional topographic survey of extracting the point cloud into a surface that can be used with designers. But also, you know, things like asset management, asset inventory, sign collection, sign inventories. You know, are the signs in the right spot, and what condition are they in, where are they at, and are they MUTD appropriate, and all that kind of good stuff. But the city of Perry, they came up with some unique use cases as well, and one was within like historic preservation. So on the video clip earlier, there was a shot of a Hotel Pate, which is a historic National Historic Register of Places, and we have a full, you know, replica of the exterior facade of that structure, which is really cool. Another one would be like urban forestry management and you know, identification of trees, species, where they're at. Are they in the right of way? Or are they not? Sizes. You know, dealing with things like invasive species. So emerald ash borer is a real pain in the Midwest. And so where are our ash trees at? And how can we develop a plan? And this digital twin really kind of helped them develop that plan. Lastly is more unfortunate topic is with disaster response and disaster preparedness. As we sit here today, as Florida Gulf Coast is getting pummeled with another hurricane after Helene just hit a couple of weeks ago. Fortunately, in Iowa, we don't have hurricanes, but we do have tornadoes and significant wind events called derechos, and some areas are prone to flooding. So this digital twin really use cases, you know, disaster preparedness and planning, but also recovery, applying for fundage to rebuild, et cetera. So yeah, so many use cases, and they keep turning up, which is very exciting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, I was seeing here that these use cases in Perry, in that example, were all above surface, right? Now, you know that we are extending our virtual replica with our Seequent offerings to subsurface digital twins as well. Are you applying this to other cities and regions, you know, going subsurface with digital twins?
Yeah, absolutely. Going subsurface it's great. The Seequent products, we're looking at, we're again users and we're migrating into open ground, but having that subsurface soil conditions and soil layers certainly add more value to that digital twin. Recently, a few weeks ago, our company leased a ground penetrating radar unit, just for the sole purpose of locating underground utilities, to add that information to our digital twins as well. So yeah, it's really no difference above ground, below ground, and in my opinion, the more data, the more accurate data that you can add to a digital twin, you increase the value of that asset, exponentially. So, of course.
And just one other question to Perry, because I found it very interesting. It was a rather smaller community, right? But typically, those digital twins in cities that are making headlines are from big ones, right? Big cities, capital cities like, Helsinki, Singapore, Dublin. Blaine, site doesn't really matter for urban digital twin. Do you agree?
No, I agree 100%. And scalability is one of really two things I look at when evaluating any technology. And our firm, a mid-sized engineering firm, we can work on a project from a city's public library's parking lot to international airports, runway intersection. And we have to have the technology to do all of the above. And as was discussed this morning, with the industry shortage of resources, we cannot make this more complex, and we can't have more solutions that require our designers and infrastructure professionals to deliver these types of solutions. So scalability is absolutely something I look at. You've got to be able to do a digital twin of a structure, a bridge, or a major infrastructure project. And secondary to that is really the interoperability, and also spoke about it this morning. And all my thunder was stolen this morning. But anyway, the interoperability is like my number two. It's like all the things all the data sources you can bring into a digital twin, they're all great in their own. But as soon as they work and interoperate together, the power does really grow exponentially in what you can do and inform our engineers and decision makers even more. And so it's really great. So scalability, interoperability, they're my two.
And openness.
And openness,
forget openness. Yes. Yeah, please. Okay. Well, I'm really looking forward to seeing your next application at YI. You have every year the next chance, Blaine. So please come back.
Looking forward to it.